Tina wanted to build something special and unique that would, again, be a keystone in the community, something that would make people feel like they couldn't be anywhere else, they had to be here. And she picked an unusual name for the place and tried to give Enzian a flavor that would make it stand out. And I guess she did a pretty good job.
We came here in the evening. Tina presented on stage the beautiful Lillian Gish, and we watched Broken Blossoms, and we ate and we drank.
Imagine opening night for this theater. I mean, there was so much excitement and enthusiasm. We had never seen anything like this. There were no cinema pubs, there were no brew pubs, there was no place for indie film. And here comes this goddess of American cinema, Lillian Gish, who was D.W. Griffith's favorite star from the dawn of movie making.
Tina Kiki liked film, and so she was one of the people who I wrote about. When I started writing about Enzian, I heard a million times from people saying, do you really think Orlando's ready for this kind of a theater?
I was confused by the name. It didn't mean anything to me. But it said they were going to be showing foreign films and independent films and art films, that kind of thing. That was like completing my circle of life.
In the early days, it was pure repertory film. And you could watch Charlie Chaplin at 2 o'clock, you could watch Godard at 4 o'clock. It was fantastic. That's what I knew about Enzian. And I haunted the place like a ghost.
Well, I'll say that it is still pretty much what Tina dreamt 30 years ago, which is pretty amazing. In so many ways, the place and the sense of place is, to me, the most valuable thing.
This wasn't done by some architect who took out a piece of paper, drew the outlines of what he wanted, then figured how much he could jam onto this piece of dirt. It's not how it went. What happened was, here's this Florida homestead with this old cracker house on it. Let's see if we can noogie a little one-screen theater in behind it so it doesn't stick out too much and leave everything else the same.
The environment says, I'm giving you something a little more than what you would expect when you go to the cinema, because you're worth it.
There are so many experiences that I've had watching movies here at the Enzian that truly made me think or transported me to a place that I would never have gone.
Enzian has passion, and Enzian's soul pervades everything they do.
I heard a lady one night, saw a film is over and people are beginning to exit. And this lady was very old, very small, very frail, and she was being escorted by another lady. And this little lady turned to her friend and said, now do you understand why I can't move from here? She said, this is, and these are her words, and I've used it many times since, a national treasure.
I would say, in terms of the film life of this community, the big game changer was Enzian, but the second most important thing was the festival.
The film festivals were really unbelievable because of Philip and Siggy's varying and wide-ranging connections.
I remember when Dennis Hopper was here, and he pulled up and he was Dennis Hopper doing Dennis Hopper in his black turtleneck. And we had people in the bushes kind of waiting to meet Dennis Hopper. We really kind of wondered about security. It was a very exciting time.
One thing that Enzian has going for it, and that I think in my experience it has lived up to, is its independence. And Enzian has taken advantage of that and has been brave about that. And I don't even think they think of themselves as brave, but I think they think they're just showing the most interesting films they can find. But the political reality is that they are brave.
I know at least one instance, Philip had lawyers on retainer getting ready to, you know, spring a filmmaker if it came down to it.
When Liz was little and when Alex was little, I spent an awful lot of time here working. And they went to school right across the street. So they kind of grew up here. as well as at home.
I was always very proud. I felt cool. I could walk from school over here and get myself a cookie. One year they let me count the people coming into the theater, which was big news because it was recorded information. This was important. And then my first real job here was in the box office. I worked as a projectionist. I worked in the kitchen as a cook. I was the event coordinator briefly, and now I'm doing my best to fill my mom's shoes.
Sig has soul. Sig is somebody that lights up a room when she comes into a room, and she's authentic.
She was the force behind it. She could see what Enzian could be, and took it and blossomed the Enzian flower.
The fact of the matter is, I love her. I just love her so much, and have for many, many years. Very lucky that way to have good friends who also inspire you to be good.
Enzian is special in that people meet each other here, and they'll start talking to each other, and their friendship will form around movies. And sometimes movies are enough for a friendship. Sometimes talking about movies is enough for a friendship.
Great cinema has the ability to reach into your heart and stroke your soul a little bit, and change you, even if it's in a small way, and sometimes in a big way. Movies are transformative, and they make a difference.
What that screen represents is that it's a window to a world that expands, and you expand as a result of looking through that window. It takes you to so many places, it immerses you in so many colors and opportunities, and forces you to encounter yourself in ways you may not have anticipated.
From my point of view, what Enzian can do today is exactly what we wanted it to do when we started 30 years ago, and that is to take a community which in some ways is becoming more ordinary and to try to help make it extraordinary.
You ought to be in pictures, you're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures, oh, what a hit you would be. You ought to shine as brightly as Jupiter and Mars. You ought to be in pictures, my star. You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful.